You're watching the PuppetCon YouTube channel. I'm your host, Lisa, and welcome back to another great episode as we feature our last guest before the first ever PuppetCon coming up this August 11th to 13th, so super soon. So, this is hosted by Puppets Up. It's a festival where PuppetCon is held in my beautiful hometown of Almonte, Ontario. There's a lot of exciting things that's happening with it, so there will be the workshops, panels, awesome shows like the Crow Family Murder Mystery, and there's still tickets available, but they are definitely selling out. And there's a lot of workshops that have sold out. So I'll go through at what is still going on at the end. So today, of course, so please welcome our episode's guest, Adam Zimmerman. And thank you for joining us, Adam.
Hey, thank you very much. This is awesome. Thank you for inviting me. This is really cool.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about puppets here being a puppet con instead of a puppets up festival. It's shifted in terms of education and all kinds of workshops, as you mentioned, and I'm looking forward to it. So this is great.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. So, since we've been talking to a lot of puppeteers, you're a bit different than a puppeteer, but we, to get into this episode, I would like to know what got you started with being the art of the clown.
Well, the art of clown, puppetry, character work. There's a lot of overlap theatrically, clearly. Within my resume where I started was with Noreen Young in puppetry, actually,
Oh, cool.
in high school,
Oh,
way back when. That's true. About 96, I think, or 97, I met Noreen, working with her through one of my teachers. So one of my teachers introduced us. She told Noreen all about me. I had built this life-size bear. That was a Kodiak bear, a replica, but a functional costume. You would climb in it.
wow.
The forward paws moved. It was on 4 stilts, so essentially you would lean and you'd have stilts for your hands when you were walking on all fours, but your feet were raised as well. And it was set up so that you could walk on all fours and stand up. When you stood up, the head would drop, the mouth would open. I incorporated technology at the time, which was a VHS camera in the hump
Yeah.
and a small monitor in front of my face so I could see where I was going. It was quite something.
Oh,
So
wow.
I began poetry, in essence. And then the very first Puppets Up with Noreen, she invited me to help fill the streets with entertainment. So I taught a clown workshop in Almont, and we populated the streets with clowns, and a few other the giant heads were there. I believe Paradise was there, which is a giant pair of dice, which is very cool. Yeah, and again, so with puppetry anyway, that's the tie-in. The clown work was sort of a stepping stone further into theater, and I was working with a lot of character work, as I said, and I figured, how can I, embody character work to the fullest extent of what I adore from performing as an actor, and that's when I took a clown workshop,
Okay.
and I left the clown workshop. I thought it was great. I was trying to figure out how I can earn a living and from performing art, etc. At the time. And within 6 months of this clown workshop, I was doing circus.
Oh, wow.
So I guess all the luck fell into place very quickly. Asking the right questions, meeting the right people, and really working the clown character, Zippy the clown, who is going to be with us again at Puppets Up.
Amazing. So you've always been Zippy the Clown.
Yeah, yeah. From a teenager, I was given the nickname working at the local grocery store. Just they called me Zippy. Just I was quick with the job and often late.
It goes
Um,
hand in hand, you know.
that's it. That's it. Yeah, that's where I ended up with Puppets Up.
Oh, very cool. So what do you do with this talent?
Uh, that's a good question. I mean, with clowning, the art of clown is different. It's not different from puppetry in terms of character creation. So you're establishing a character from within, as an actor would do with a puppet, and you have the image of your Death Star is seen in the background as well.
Yeah.
So once you have this image of character, this idea of character, it's not dissimilar to clown. So once that's established from within, or you've created the object, exterior, you have this thing, this being, this life of its own,
Hmm.
and you take it from there. So with the character work of Zippy, it's an extension of puppetry in the sense of a Pinocchio, if you want, a puppet without strings. So it's a life-like character in which is believable as a puppet,
Okay.
is believable, and that's sort of how I think the tie-in or the perception of me being with Puppets Up for so long as this unofficial mascot, if you will, with the street work. It's because I really embody the character of Zippy. I really present it as something the imagination, not only sees as real but feels as believable, much like the puppet characters you see walking around.
Is there any inspirations that you've taken things from and elements of, like, characteristics as well, or is it a lot from your own personal life?
Well, as I said, like clown as an art form, where it definitely is much different than puppetry is that you develop a persona of clown from within. So from the person you are, the traits in which we have as children that we use in play that we forget about as we get older, as we grow. So that
Yeah.
that pulls on our heartstrings, much like the puppets up do.
Yeah.
And when you train, when you meditate on, or you become attached to the art form of developing these traits into a character, so you can characterize them and have them accepted with a clown character, then you begin to embody them, truly embody them. So inspiration, most definitely. If I was to look to the exterior, loving, of course, what I saw growing up with television and the Muppets, and
Yes.
and loving the personalities of all of those. Noreen Young's, Under the Umbrella Tree was a staple in my childhood. I still have the DVDs. I still watch the DVDs on
Oh, nice.
occasion. Um, yeah, so having access to the things that were inspirational as a child, and even pursuing them as an adult, really attached to the clown work that I do. I think it's important that we don't forget how to play and how to maintain a sense of play, for what it is, which is the sake of imagination, where there are no rules and it is unstructured. So I think that's really important to do.
Absolutely. How much do you let your imagination just kinda run while you're doing it?
Oh, uh, it's it's almost like, I don't want to compare it to flight of ideas, but when I work as an adult, is probably the better comparison. Is to say, if I was to work on something at home, I'd say I want to build this garden. What can I put in this garden? What can I plant? And then I start to think, how can I structure the garden? And then I start to imagine and envision what sort of plants will be in the garden, where I'll plant my strawberries, where I'll have my
Mm.
rhubarb. Nothing linear,
Yeah.
nothing concrete, but imaginative. So each piece of the puzzle starts to fall into place, and that's sort of how I operate. To give an adult sense to it, is that when I'm working in that parameter of play as a clown, that's a liminal space where I'm at, where it is I can create through some improvisation, but compared to improvisation, I'm not trying to manifest a game. The play that I'm operating, or the game that has been brought to life through an interaction, that in and of itself is the act of play. So it's to remain imaginative, free, without a specific net to say this is what it has to be, and you can turn it into anything you want.
Yeah.
So, uh, for instance, one of the props I'm working with now, since my day job, if you will, is to be the therapeutic clown at Chio. So one of the props I have there is a banana. I use these little foam banana. They turn into little people. They turn into phones. They turn into Bluetooth phones that I tuck in my glasses. They turn into any game that's imaginable, within the realm of these these children's world. So it's to have a connection with that world and play. It's to be free within it. It's to identify the thing in which you can bring to life from nothing. And that's also a tie-in with puppetry as well.
Very cool. I'd love to hear more about what you're doing at CHIO, if you could go more into that.
Um, sure. Uh, I've been brought on with the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario, CHIO, as their therapeutic clown. The previous therapeutic clown, to I guess my mentor, she was there for a good, I think, almost 21 years. And the program at CHIO is to have a therapeutic clown present to essentially remove people from the context of what it is the hospital life is. So the difficulty, the stress, the anxiety, all of those things in which come with the unknown, or a trauma, or something in which they're living through oncology, or
Yeah.
what have you. So to remove them from the context of that, because they have the white coat, they have the rules, and they have the treatments, and they have the structure of what's necessary for their care 100%. But what augments and supports them that much further is therapeutic arts, and they are available. We have a music therapist as well. So the clown work within the hospital is different from entertainment. There is entertainment that occurs within therapeutic clowning, but therapeutic clowning is not to entertain.
Okay.
Whereas Zippy the Clown, Puppets Up, I will be entertaining. I will be engaged with people in play in different modes, but from an entertainment perspective. In therapeutic clowning, those elements of entertainment often come secondary to just being present and available as something outside of the context of medical care in that sense.
That's really lovely. Imagine that it's such a fulfilling thing that you're doing as well.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's a wonderful. I feel very privileged and humbled in the role,
Yeah.
because I'm a part of these families' lives.
Yeah.
So their ups, their downs, their trials, their tribulations. I'm seeing. I'm a part of. I'm present for. I walked a young child heading to a procedure. And I was in a play session, as was what I title them, and I was engaged with them, and the nurses arrived because she had to walk down for a procedure. So of course she's heading for something surgical. It's stressful. This young girl was 6 or 7 years old, but she asked if I would come with her. I said
Yeah.
sure. So I headed. We had great conversations about unicorns and
Oh,
and other things along the way, and we get to the red line on the floor, of course, and I can't go further. And I remained with her until the hallway filled up with more procedures waiting, and carried on my way. So a lot of it is to be present for things in which give them an opportunity to see outside of the stress, so they can have the light, have the joy, have something fun, and a
yeah.
positive memory with it. Yeah.
Well, and also for kids, it's just so important for them to be listened to, and like you're giving them that chance for them to talk, and not just have someone telling them like medical things. It's a little bit of joy that they can relax, be with you. I think that's just wonderful. Uh, Do do all the kids respond to you really well, or do some run away? Because I know not everyone likes clowns.
It's across the gamut. It's across the entire sort of, I guess, continuum of things. There's I've encountered in my career of clowning, I think, two people that have had a true phobia.
Oh, really?
Otherwise, yeah, it's otherwise it's mostly seen as an opinion or an idea of what clown is. When people say the word clown, and something
Yeah.
is conjured up in the mind, the idea of something garish or scary, because those exist, and that's popular media, of course, and
Yeah.
what's popularized is
Well,
often has niche. So
what's that
yeah.
horrific clown that's in Pennywise? Like, yeah, like that I could see where stigma comes from.
That's right. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. But that's, that's also the adult world. To put
True.
it quite frankly, is that, unless you're 15, 16 years old and you're into, pop culture, you're not going to be attentive to the fears that are embodied in popular culture for scared clowns and things
Very
like that.
true.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. So, but yeah, to sort of answer more directly your question, was that the kids react on all fronts. So I have people that shy, that hide. I'll then hide, of course. I have an umbrella attached to my chair, and hide behind the umbrella, of course.
Oh,
And to give them some reflective sort of understanding that it's okay. They can be shy. It's cool beans. I don't have
yeah.
to be engaged with them. It's about empowerment at the hospital. Yeah, to deal with kids on all fronts. You see them, some very young, 2, 3 years old, will come up and approach you, and whether it's at Puppets Up or whether it's at,
Yeah.
with this hospital role, they'll walk to you and they'll engage, just start asking questions, who you are, why you're there. They'll share with you what they had for lunch, where they're going, friends are, if they're being bullied at school. I get all kinds of things. It's quite something.
Yeah.
Um, so, and then I'll get the other end, as I said, where people are very, very shy, and that happens on all ages. I get that on all ages. I don't see really a varying degree of saying whether someone's older or younger if they'll have a certain reaction or not. No, the reactions are across all ages, which is
Yeah.
neat.
Mhm. Yeah, I've in my Vader outfit, I've definitely scared a couple kids before. And I'm not used to scaring kids, so that was a bit of an experience, but what's the funniest question a kid has ever asked you? If you can think of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I often get how old. They ask me how old I am, then I always reflect back. I think I am, or
Yeah.
I give them an absurd answer. Like, I'm 342, or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, that's an often sort of a common question that becomes ridiculous. Um, I'm often asked for some reason if I'm married. Like, it's like
I've been
if I
asked that too.
have
Yeah.
yeah, are you married? I get that one, which I think is really funny, especially coming from a 4 or 5 year old. That's
Yeah.
that's all, that's yeah, yeah, a lot of things like that. But the another thing that I do with the work that I've been privy to with performing has been the dinosaur suit that I've brought to puppets up too.
Yes.
So that I've worn, and I sort of don't mean to shift the subject, but it spoke to me when you said you scared someone as the Vader. I've scared a few kiddos and with the dinosaur. It's occurred. Um,
Yeah.
but I mostly the fear that I see, to be more, I guess, serious or direct, would be to say that a handful of parents will present their kids to whomever, whether it's Darth Vader, whether it's a dinosaur, whether it's a clown, or whether it's Santa Claus. They present their children, but the children aren't
Yes.
ready or attentive or just surprised.
Yeah.
I've had parents grab their kids who are half asleep out of the car and then bring them up and say, "Here, my child," and the child's like, "No, they're asleep. They don't know what's going on. They're 2 or 3 years old." I've had that happen. So sometimes it's just the parents as well that jump right in
Yeah.
and get involved in a way that they're excited about. The kids they get a little scared, but that's
Yeah.
okay. That's happened.
Well, yeah, like, the
They
parents
do.
are embracing their childish enthusiasm, so they just can't help it as well. They're
That's
just
right.
letting it
That's right.
show
So
through
we
the
also
kids instead of, them being the excited one.
That's it. That's it. It's wonderful. It really is. Really is. I love them.
So, if you wanna talk a bit more about your dinosaur costume, that would be really awesome, and I believe you said you're gonna be bringing it this year to PuppetCon as well?
Yes, and that's why I thought it was a good mention too, is because he's going to be on display outside the town hall, the old town hall. It looks like my son Jesse's going to be there as a volunteer to sort of help people understand what the costume is. Seeing that it's more of a conference relative to puppetry, I thought it would be a good idea to showcase my dinosaur puppet in a different way. He's been there in parade, been there for walking animation, as he was last year. But no one really gets to see how he works or ask questions about how he works. So Jesse will be there to field those questions and demonstrate,
Okay.
lip sync the puppet and talk about the mechanism on the inside.
Yeah. How big is it?
Uh, he's he's a good 12 to 14 feet from tail to
Oh,
nose.
wow. Yeah.
And his back stands about 7 feet tall. Really depends on the person wearing him. When I'm 6 feet tall, so when I stand in the costume, it puts his back almost at 7 feet or so because the shoes and then the height of the framing over my head. The mechanism inside, front to back, can be depending on where his head is situated. So it's like holding on to a 10-speed bicycle, the small handle on a tighter 10-speed
Yeah.
bicycle, where you have a brake handle on both sides, but one operates mouth, one operates the eyes.
Okay.
And then you can articulate his neck with your hands. You can do vertical movement in your wrists, or you can move your elbow or from the shoulder even to lift the head. And when you do lift the head, he can stand about 12 feet or so from top of the head to the
Yeah.
ground.
Okay.
So
Does he have
it,
a name?
it's quite Russell. His name is
Russ.
Russell T Rex.
Where did that come from?
He likes to wreck everything. So
Oh,
he just it just he just got named one day. We were sort of having a chatter to figure out what kind of name we'd name him, and somebody said, "Well, he knocks things over," and I said, "Yeah, 'cause he wrecks everything." And then somebody said, "Well, he's a T Rex," and Russell T Rex came out of it. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So is this something you built or is it something you purchased?
Both. I did purchase it initially. I worked with a company, worked with a couple of companies to find out which one would satisfy the build parameters that I had because I had some specifics I wanted done to these costumes. I saw one at Children's Fest one year, and it was almost like a Minecraft looking version. Like it was very two dimensional,
Oh, cool.
on a lightweight frame. So it was like very boxy and two dimensional, but also a T Rex of sorts, I think.
Yeah.
And the reaction was great. Loved it, and I thought, oh, it would be really neat to have one and build one. I priced one to build on my own, to build an aluminum frame and have it structured properly with support for the back and what have you. And I got into the design and pricing of the frame, and it just became exorbitant in the pricing.
Yeah.
So I started looking for production companies that produce these. I did find a handful of them, and then worked with one to custom the paint and as I said, some of the puppet design. Um, when it was delivered, it was built wrong, much of it. So I took it apart, the inside. I rebuilt the back brace, the feet, um, the skeleton that was in the legs. I had to remove all the metal structure because it was designed for someone shorter than myself, so I had to redo that. Um, and a lot of paint work. We painted him and we added feathers, a lot of feathers,
Oh.
because I worked with the Museum of Nature
Oh.
and went there. And I was like, hey, tell me about dinosaurs, of course.
Yeah.
And I got to speak with paleontologists, and we talked about pigmentation in fossils can be seen under a microscope, so they know that
Yeah.
certain dinosaurs were red, yellow. So very cool stuff. So I learned about that and
Oh,
put it
that's
all
cool.
together. Yeah, it
Hmm.
was a lot of fun. A lot of So that's him. That's him. So he'll be there. He's very friendly. He's very rubbery. He's great.
Does he eat children?
No, no. He can chew
Okay.
on their heads and their hands. Yeah, yeah,
Pretty.
yeah. I like him a lot. Yeah, I've traveled with him quite a bit through Ontario and into Quebec. He made the front page of the Gazette. That
Oh.
was cool in Montreal.
Yeah.
And then I think it was 2015. Zippy the clown and the pup and the dinosaur were on the front page of the Citizen.
Oh, neat.
I think on the Sunday morning of Puppets Up weekend. I think that. Yeah, I think it was that year, 2015. My
Yeah.
mom actually went to the door and rolled out the newspaper and got a scream, but because I was sitting on the front page with the
Yeah,
dinosaur.
yeah.
That's funny.
How often does that happen?
That's right. That's
That's
right.
cool. Cool. What's some of the coolest places you've traveled to with what you're doing?
I've had a lot of opportunity to travel with clowning globally. So I've been to not enormously, but a good handful. China was something special. It really was. We had
Wow.
12 days in Nanjing. Yeah, we were hosted for the it was called the International Euro Clown Festival, I believe, something complex like that, and it
Okay.
was
Yeah.
held at the Nanjing Olympic Stadium. The
So is it
Olympics, I don't ever believe to Nanjing, but they have an Olympic stadium,
just
which
in
is cool.
case? Yeah.
Just yeah, and that was an experience. That was very cool because I got off the bus, and I had another clown who I'm working with who's from Perth. Actually, his clown name is Jess Kidden, um, and he tells me he says Zippy, turn around, turn around. I'm off the bus. This is like 20 hours of travel or 26 hours of travel. We're exhausted. I just want the hotel room. It's 2 in the morning. He's like, turn around, turn around. I turn around and look up, and on the outside of the stadium is this giant 50-foot tall, maybe 200-foot banner, and on it are these giant printed pictures of Zippy the clown and my
Oh, wow.
performing partner Droid the clown, and the photos were from Puppets Up actually,
Oh,
which is
wow.
very cool.
Yeah.
They had photoshopped out background, and I
Yeah.
knew exactly what the images were, where they were from, and they were these giant images, all over the stands, which was really neat to see. That was
Cool.
cool.
Did you know that was gonna
That was
happen,
very
or it was just a surprise?
no, I had no idea.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So things like that have happened. It happened in Trois-Rivières, Quebec. I sat down to eat at Saint Hubert one night. I'm not just plugging Saint Hubert, although the ribs are tasty. Uh, um, but I sat down and right on the napkin, like the paper that goes on, it was this Saint Hubert Express. One of the road stops where they have either a fast food of sorts
Yeah.
and the Saint Hubert in there. Anyway, I sat down and on the paper napkin was the photo of myself and Droy Le Clown at the festival that we were performing in a month later, which was very cool.
Oh,
It's very neat.
you're just
Surprises like
photos
that
everywhere.
happen. I get a bit of a. I gotta say, I understand. I understand why in terms of the color, the excitement, the look. It speaks to the festival very
Yeah.
clearly. Uh, I I appreciate that. I understand that. It's part of the work that I've put forth and some of the marketing that I've done for the clown work over the years. Um, that said, the whole post COVID sort of environment, the work that I've done as a commercial clown and operated production companies with these dinosaur puppets and things like that. That's those are projects in which I'm still operating, but I'm not out to market or to expand beyond what it is that I have for Zippy the Clown as a character and a few puppets that I work with, on demand. My focus really is to establish this therapeutic clown role and remain with that with longevity to teach and work with University of Ottawa and teach with them clowning as well. So
Yeah.
that's sort of where my focus is into
Yeah. Are you able
all those things.
to go into a bit more detail about the university program that you're working with now?
Yes, I didn't have a chance to talk to you about it other than the mention because it was all like really preliminary and brand new
Yeah.
a few weeks ago. But what has transpired since is that there's an invite for me to fingers crossed, nothing's concrete yet, but fingers crossed, and to be teaching clown at the university for a 2-week intensive for the theater students, with an outcome for the students to learn aspects of clowning in which adhere to real world practice where they could be employed, i.e., therapeutic clown.
Okay.
So that's very very cool. That's very cool. That's happening, and then also part of my role at CHIO is to teach the medical students, is to teach these residents, these med students, clown, to put them wearing costume with a nose and work with play-based skills and communicate through their clown and establish a character, and have them work really within clowning within the hospital as part of their medical degree. It's practical hours
So
that
cool.
they gain credit. It's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
laughter is medicine essentially, so this makes sense. What are some of the things that you're actually teaching them? Like, is there kind of jokes you're telling them, or just kind of, how to behave, or
Well, I'm in the learning process as much as I am in the teaching process with this role. I don't mind saying that out front, right up front. Given that my education really is in theater, I did pick up. I was close to a minor in psychology at the University of Ottawa, but my aims were theatrical and performing. I then took on a little bit of learning with a certificate in play therapy, but I didn't turn it into a practice. I remained within clowning. Um, so to answer this here, what I'll be teaching these med students is how to bring forth, I guess, the idea that you don't have to remain in a clinical role all of the time as you learn. You don't have to remain within the intellect and just know the answers and be straight with what it is that's occurring, the black and white of the paperwork.
yeah,
You can reach beyond that and find, humor and humility and joy in the work. Because if you are loving the work that you're doing, there's no reason not to have fun with it, even if the circumstances are difficult.
yeah,
There is humor to be found within the hospital. So I'm teaching sort of, I guess, some of the tools to access what that means relative to communication. So how to communicate through play, how to establish within yourself what it feels like to be in a mode of play and be comfortable, how to listen in that mode. how to share the empathy and embody the empowerment requirements, which is basically giving all of the strength over to the kids that are there, letting them choose what what they are asking for in your play session. Understanding that the job of therapeutic clown is 80% clowning, you can say that, maybe 20% clinician. So there's assessment going on, and then there's an understanding of psychosocial circumstances going on, all that stuff. So that's important to identify and work with as a clown, because there's a
Mm.
lot going on upstairs when you're trying to
Yeah.
juggle all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And keep a smile on everyone's face at the same time. Yeah.
That's it. You know, which there's a lot of misconception when it comes to humor and clown. A lot of people think it's just from either a joke book, or you're being ridiculous just to be ridiculous, or it's improv training, and there's a lot of misconception there. And sort of my approach to my clowning has been from a standpoint of authenticity. So if I'm truly engaged in a play session and I'm truly having fun with it and experiencing joy and silliness as it is, then the laughter and the reactions are authentic, and there's a deeper undertone of care, empathy, and therapeutic support.
Yeah.
That compared to an entertainment show where a certain script is going to give you a certain laugh.
Yeah.
Those are very different.
Do you have jokes though that you use all the time, or you just again just
Some
yeah.
uh, I often ask if they found any bananas in their room. That often gets a laugh. It's sort of an intro, absurd. It's a hospital thing, right? It's like, why would there be bananas in the room?
Yeah.
Um, there's some classic things like that, but not. I can't really think of a joke. I carry with me a few riddle books and jokes books because I don't recall, why the chicken crossed the road. I,
Yeah.
I don't. I don't know.
I
I
don't think
can
anyone
answer
solved
it,
that
right?
one.
Yeah, I don't have that. I don't have that
Yeah.
as part of my repertoire. Really, is a presentation of character. So
Okay.
I connect with the kids, and allow them to understand that I'm there, not as a clinician, and there to really draw on the walls. We put up paper, but we draw on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
walls. Um,
Very cool. Has there been people in history that you've kind of looked at, like clowns, for instance, and them as inspiration as well?
oh, very much so. Some of my mentors have been clowns that are. I worked with, how do I sort of put this? In 2010, I went and I took a course in Spain. So it was a 6-week program, four of which was intensive, and we would work with. I think there were near 2 dozen teachers, near 20 plus teachers, spread out over the course of the program. There were 40 students, and we all were from around the world. We got to participate with each teacher, while the teacher for the following week would be present and observe. So the teachers got to know the students very well.
Okay.
Some of those teachers became my colleagues, some of them became friends. I did work with them in Quebec City in 2017 for a program that was called Auguste Rendezvous. And some of these clowns are unknown to, I guess, the general public. One of them, his name is Django Edwards. He actually recently passed away. His real name was Stan, and Django, as his clown name was a legend in terms of the character he created. He created this authentic being of existence that was just the most absolute ridiculous, personage of nothing. Effectively, he presented and was able to present nothing on stage in a
Mm.
humorous context that was accepted because he created this world with his clown Django. So that he's amongst many of them. And they're unknown. This Django fellow and another fellow named Johnny Melville. He's alive and well, and worth looking up. Tom Grieber is another fellow, and Jeff Johnson. So these names are not known to the general public, but if you do some homework on these guys, you'll see that some of their work is extraordinary. I mean, you
Yeah.
have Django, Django and Johnny Melville are two clowns that worked on stage with the Rolling Stones
Oh wow.
in history. Oh,
What did they do with
they
them?
performed. air guitar. They
Oh,
they got up in guitar, and yeah, these were some astounding performances. And these are some of my mentors, if you will, some of the inspirations of the clown world, because
yeah,
these are living, breathing, clowns that I've had opportunity to met. Some of them passed away, of course, but
yeah,
but yeah, having an opportunity to see and work with these sort of historical figures in that niche market or niche world is inspirational for sure.
yeah. Are there a lot of female clowns as well, or is it mostly just
It's it's frustrating because it's been often dominated by patriarch and men in court gestures and what have you.
yeah.
But yes, to answer your question, some of the funniest clowns that I've ever met have been women. um, uh, Absolutely astounding in their humor, in their approach, and their character. A lot of sort of modern European clown, you see a lot of women performing that are fantastic,
Awesome.
do amazing work. They combine magic or song. The most extraordinary linguistic person I'd ever met. Her last name escapes me. First name's Jessica. She could speak, or does speak, six languages,
Wow.
but she speaks six languages, and she can speak them frontwards and backwards.
Oh, wow.
So effectively, she could speak 12 languages.
Yeah, yeah.
So her clown routine that I saw was her getting up on stage with a balloon. She walked on stage backwards, sang into a microphone some absurd song, recorded it with a guitar pedal, replayed it in reverse, and let the balloon go while the song was playing. And it was Happy Birthday. And it was totally audible, totally comprehensible after she stood there, and let the backwards recording
Yeah.
play forwards. It was exceptional.
I mean, how do
Amazing,
you
amazing
even
stuff.
think of to do that? Like, that's just the imagination there is just astounding, like Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's what a lot of that course in Spain was about, was discovering things from nothing to establish, absurdity, for what it is, and accept it for what it is in
Mhm.
the now and in the very present moment, which is in essence, clown.
It makes me think of Mr. Bean as well, like, I always just loved,
Yeah,
like, his simple gestures, and yet, like, it doesn't matter what country you're from or what language you speak, like, everyone will find Mr. Bean funny because, like, his you know, tripping and falling over or moving that little blue car that's always in the way and you know?
well, some of his most absurd work was like pantomime, where he did a drum solo in
Yes, the
silence.
drum still oh, that was amazing. Yeah.
Sweeping and with no broom, finding broom or drumsticks, and playing the drums. I think there's a cat involved in that clip somehow, but
Yeah, yeah, he, like,
it's quite
steps on the pedal and it's
something to that. Yeah,
Yeah,
brilliant. It's brilliant.
very
Yeah. Yeah, the modern clown that just won Britain's Got Talent. His name escapes me as well, but I believe he's this year's winner. And I confess, I was watching the first version of his performance. I'm like, this is all right. This is great. It's engaging, but I didn't really think of it. It was that astounding, and he's the one that won in Britain.
yeah.
And then the second one was, didn't go, okay, I'm starting to understand what he did with layering on the first one with his imagination. When you watch the second one, I don't want to give anything away, so I don't want to talk content of it. But the third one that earned him the prize, that had he won Britain's Got Talent, um, was, you could see the genius of the structure in how he created a clown world, how he created something that was so much of a game, that the audience believed was real, and his character was believed as real, that he earned that prize. He didn't just win it; he earned it through the creativity. So yeah, as you said, the imagination is astounding, and come up with something as absurd as that, like Mr. Bean does. It's
Yeah,
something else.
yeah. What's your favorite part of The Art of the Clown?
Um, I know. I really feel that it's building a connection with an audience. So establishing a rapport, whereby I've introduced this creature, that is accepted as being real, because the work of Clown, or the art of clown, is being honest in that regard. So having that connection with an audience, where it is a clown can have a laugh or cry or moan because it was such a terrible joke, or even be angry. I've seen clown shows where the audience gets angry and the clown is excited because that's the projection of their work, is to create this engagement with their audience. So yeah, I think my favorite part is establishing these honest connections with my work, with the character, and providing something that even outside of the hospital, of course, takes people out of the context of their life. They forget their troubles, they forget their difficulties, and they laugh, and it's cathartic. So yes, finding the connection with people. Yeah.
So, what will you be doing this year at PuppetCon?
Ah, I'm going to be the information officer. I will have all the information about Almont, in hand or in mind. I will be able to help as best I can. And if I can't get the right answers, which none of them will be the right answers, I will, of course, find the volunteers who will most definitely have the right answers.
Yeah.
I will be on the street as much as I'll be helping out with lineups. So there might be lineups for some of these workshops because some of them have sold out, as far as I understand, and
Yep.
it seems quite popular. So that's super exciting. So yeah, I'll be engaging people at the doors as much as at the public events, and the workshops as people go in and out. So I'll be present, and I'll be all over the old town, and at the venues for the workshops as much as possible. So I definitely will be seen. I know that.
Great. Well, yeah. So, anyone watching, feel free to say hi to Zippy, of course.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of advice for anyone who is interested in getting it involved in being a clown? Or just,
Um,
general kind of following their pursuits and dreams?
I think, well, both are almost one and the same. You have to trust yourself. You have to trust in the effort that you're committing to for your own, um, uh, for your own beliefs. Because the work that we do, yes, it's for others, but ultimately, when you're pursuing a dream, you're pursuing something within the arts. It really is to animate, from within. It's to bring yourself to life in the most effective way possible. So perseverance and honesty, a full-on acceptance that it's not always easy.
Yeah.
I had 23 years of zigzag up and down. Right, some have been great years, and some have been really complex and difficult years.
Yeah.
Things like the pandemic just get in the way. So
Yeah. What did
so
you
there's a
do
lot of
during the pandemic?
A couple of things. I earned, well, I didn't really earn. I worked through a certificate in English as a second language online. I did that so I could teach through video teaching. But that never came to fruition. I was set up. I was accepted. I did get employed somewhere. During that time, I was also going to school for welding because I was bored. We got to do something.
Yeah.
So I did how to weld, and I set up a small sort of sideline business of welding, where I now stick metal things together and I put them up for sale.
Oh, okay.
I have a few. Nothing spectacular. I'm not in it for the glory. I'm in it for the skill and fun, in my own time. But yeah, that's what I did. I was I also rewrote sort of how I would approach my own clown work because I knew that things were going to shift coming out of this pandemic. So I reevaluated what I wanted to do with clowning. Definitely moved towards teaching, and sharing more of the knowledge of the clowning, and to bring people out into that world of arts and entertainment a little bit.
Mhm.
That's important.
How has your
It's
family
important.
been involved with clowning?
Oh, well, my mother is trained as a social worker,
Okay. Oh, wow.
so a lot of familial support, and my father is 30 some years military chaplain, so very different in terms of the world.
Yeah.
Yet the overlaps are quite significant. There's a lot of ritual involved in terms of how he ran the chaplaincy with the military. There's a lot of ritual in clown work. There is in the theater. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that overlap. So that's where they sort of that's how I was brought up, or the world that I was brought up in. They've both been involved in terms of seeing my work and coming to circuses and high fiving and what have you. So it's been supportive. It's been very good.
That's
Yeah.
great. And your kids are involved now?
Yeah, my youngest, who's 15, wants to be, well, both of them. My oldest is 17, and he wants to be working the dinosaur. But he likes it for the engineering. He wants to be an engineer. And my youngest is active in just an active kiddo, and he really likes to work with some of these things that I do. And hence his coming to Puppets Up. So
Very
we'll
cool.
see. We'll see what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, now
I
that
may
you
have a zippy some.
yeah. Well, now that you've got welding, the engineer can build whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting. So I have an inkling that when I'm at the end of my clown career, the clown, all the things, stars align, of course, and I make it, another 20, 30 years. The last sort of gasping of my clown work will be something very theatrical, but I'll have the support of my kids helping to design and create a very, very different old man type clown, which will be very
Yeah.
cool.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what kind of events are you gonna be doing in the near future that you wanna promote as well?
Um, Not much regarding commercial work,
Okay.
I have to say. Puppet Shop really is for me the creme de la creme of all my festival work. I've always said that, and I'm biased, of course. I've been there for as long as Puppet Shop has been around, but
Yeah.
I've always said really is uh, you know a, a, you know a model of festival experience, a model of imagination in which something can be established from an idea, from a wish, a dream, much to Noreen's credit, of course, Noreen Young,
Yes.
her credit.
Yes.
uh, yeah. So yeah, I plan to be available as Zippy the Clown, of course. I'm taking on smaller work with some festivals for animation, some smaller shows as well. I just
Okay.
recently performed at as Eccentric Adam here in Wakefield, not too far from home from where I am. So I am still doing clown shows, but teaching. I'm going to be offering workshops hopefully in the fall. Not too sure where yet. I've had some offers from Wakefield, as well as looking into venues in Ottawa. And then my therapeutic clowning is taking precedent, is really taking the forefront of my work,
Yeah.
and some research study there to develop a program for education, and more experience. So that's pretty exciting. I get to go to Toronto and visit the clowns there, and maybe even London. So that's pretty cool.
Is there a
I
lot of
get to go
clowns
visit
in Toronto or
yeah, the clown community is quite large,
Oh,
but the therapeutic clown is also another avenue of clowning in which uh, has I guess has a fellowship, has a group of patrons as much as performers, which is fantastic. So I'm
yeah.
excited to explore those relationships too.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about the clown community, because I don't know anything about it. It sounds very
Okay.
fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. I have an international community that I've worked with, from Portugal and Spain. Um, we did a lot of the cabaret work,
Oh, cool.
a lot of training together, which was exciting. And these are, uh, I don't want to. It's hard to sort of give an overview of what a singular clown experience is, because they're all different, much like everybody has a different path and a different journey through life, right? But there is a route through clowning, that when you begin to realize these niche markets have these groupings of people, they're no longer just groupings of people or markets of professions, they're families.
Yeah.
So my family of clowns are brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles, where the time that you spend and the intimacy of the work to learn and create together, it becomes a familial environment. So there's that too, and that speaks to the I guess the heart of why artists are artists in a big way. So
Well, that's great. And then there's a lot of therapeutic clowns you were mentioning.
yes. Um, So there's, I guess, if you would put clowning on a pie. Use a pie. If you had a large pie, is it where are the slices of pie? And how do you measure the size of each slice of pie? You would have a slice of pie for a clown community for hobbyists, 100%. You would have the hobby clown who wants to establish a clean costume and work parades and learn magic tricks and store bought tricks and things for parading. This is a mode of clowning that does exist in American circus style for sure.
Mhm.
And then you have, as I was talking about, this familial sense of European clowns that I got to work with, and therapeutic clowns, even I think even more so. From those I've had a chance to talk to over the past 6 months, and have some online communication with, and Zoom conversations with, there really seems to be a familial link there, so that we can establish our clowns and work within the best practices of healthcare. I think that's amazing. I didn't realize the depth of that, until I was in the role, which I don't think, much like other professions, until you're in the role of what you're doing, what you've studied for, do you understand that the richness that can come from the work. So,
That makes sense. Is there
maybe,
anything else
I don't know.
you'd like to share to the people who are watching today?
Just come on down, puppets up. Just
Yeah.
get there, bring a puppet, have some fun. I'm gonna see what I can do with this puppet mash. We're doing some kind of,
Oh, yeah.
it's kind of secret. Really, it's gonna be some kind of, I don't know. We're gonna have some kind of impromptu somewhere dance party with puppets. So that's happening. So more people that can come down for that. That'd be very cool.
Yes, absolutely. I'll be
Yeah,
there.
and just enjoy. I mean, we're talking seriousness of, quotation marks, of course, of seriousness relative to the clown work and puppet work, and
Mhm.
everybody has their approach to how they share that information because it's all very personal. But I mean, at the end of the day, for why I do it, and why, I can't speak for others, but why the arts and sharing arts and humanities means so much is it's for the love of the work. It's to share something so pure, so innocent, so clear, so imaginative, that there's nothing else to worry about. There's no stress involved. Once the creative process takes over, and you have this puppet or this clown or this character, or the art of even, I would say, music and painting, of course, the
Mm.
expression. Once it's there, it's very freeing. So I invite people to participate with that. Take a workshop, learn the skill, practice the skill, present the skill. Don't be shy to present the skill because
Yes.
we're all learning, as we go through it. So
Yeah.
that's so important. You must fail. You must fail at some point. Must fail. It's
Yeah.
good. It brings about, more and more, love for the, things that you succeed at, and more grace and compassion for learning. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So bring it out. Come and learn something. Fail at doing something. We'll all laugh together and have a great time.
Oh, what a I like your look at it. Failing is a good thing.
It's great. It's great. I mean, we forget that. We're kids. We're growing up, and
Yeah.
we make a mistake, and then we get in trouble for making a mistake.
Yes.
You drew on the wall. Oh no, you didn't know. You drew on the wall, and
Yeah, yeah.
and but you made this mistake. You get in trouble for it, and you get, maybe get yelled at or something, and then it's, oh, I can't make a mistake. No, you can make mistakes. Mistakes are okay to make.
Yeah.
As long as they're honest mistakes in the learning process, then then it's good. It's healthy. It's a
Yeah.
healthy thing.
Exactly. Oh, and what I love about the concept of PuppetCon is, it's for adults, and it's for us to embrace our childish enthusiasm again, and to like, to make mistakes, to learn to laugh, and just have fun, and stop being, like, oh, the world is coming down on you all the time. It's just like, this is what it's about, be a kid again and laugh. And forget about feeling ridiculous, because sometimes I feel ridiculous, like, with my my puppet, and then I just go, everyone's having fun, and as long as you're having fun, they'll have fun too. That's what I think is important.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. if your heart's in it and you're enjoying it, you're having fun, and everyone else is having fun. I can honestly say that I've never had a show go badly where I've committed to, what we just said. You embrace the moment of it, and if something doesn't work well, if it does fail,
Yeah.
great. Okay, you've learned that, and you can carry that forward, and then try it again later.
Yeah.
See if you can screw it up again.
And
Good.
people like watching fail, let's be real. Like, if somebody falls down, that's funny. So
It is. I mean, we grew up with the funniest home videos where people were falling all the
yes.
time, and we'd
Yeah.
laugh at their that's part of the line that the clown walks, is that we walk this line of like, we're in between the world of doing what we're supposed to do, but we're breaking the rules to do what we want to do, and we're not really breaking any rules except for our own, which then creates this whole cycle of failure, learning, laughter, failure, learning, laughter. It's
Yeah.
phenomenal in that way. It really
Yeah.
is.
I was just thinking of a question. Have you ever been in a car and tried to see how many clowns you could fit in?
Yes, we did that for the first Puppets Up festival.
Oh, did you?
I had, yeah, cliche, but it's true, 100%. I had a 1972 Volkswagen Super Beetle, and there were about
Yeah.
about 10 of us at the event, or at the workshop, and we all crammed ourselves in there. We put someone under the hood in the front and drove down the hill, and came out of the car, and we opened the hood, and they jumped out the
Yeah,
front.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah. In circus, I built a mini car that my performing partner, she would climb into, and she had to fold like a pretzel to get into it, and
Yeah.
then she would drive around, and chase me. And then the gag was that it was her in the car chasing me, because I would open the routine with the car being a remote control, with this giant remote control with this big antenna.
Yeah, yeah.
That would break, the car would go crazy, things would come out of it, and she'd hit me with the car. So I've done that routine. That's been great. Um, yeah, yeah, clown cars, absurd.
I mean, where did that even come from? What a good idea.
Original clown car? I don't know. I know that one of the most famous ones was a fellow named Lou Jacobs, and he was an American style Ringling, Barnum and Bailey, of course, Ringling Circus, and he had a miniature car, and I believe he was 6'2" or 6'4", a very large man. Oh, hello, kitty.
Sorry.
And,
He's an office kitty.
and then no, just leave that. It's cool beans. Yeah, he was a very large man, tall man. Had this tiny, tiny car, and then he built it so that there was a rail on the bottom of the door, so that when he stood out, he could stand on that rail, and it added maybe another 2 inches. And he wore a skull cap. So he's one of the classic clowns that you might look up in, like, look up online and see this. Lou Jacobs was the clown name, and he had the giant skull cap that was raised up, and so, and a puff of hair, so it made him look like he was close to 7 feet tall. That came out of this tiny, tiny car. So that was one of the first ones to know about.
Hmm. Did you watch a lot of
It's pretty.
Charlie Chaplin as well growing up?
I really enjoyed Buster Keaton as well.
Okay.
Um, Buster Keaton is another black and white,
Yeah.
old timey vaudeville clown. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was great.
What about
Yeah.
Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons? I feel like he's that the worst example of a clown is Krusty because he's always stealing people's bits and like just doing a half-assed job and
But he's honest. He's
he's
honest.
very
He's
honest.
he's he's very honest. He's not lying about what he does, and he's failing at it. I think his manager was at him once for giving him a hard time about burning through money, and he's lighting a cigar with $100. I
Yeah.
mean, he's like, what do you mean run money?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's very honest. So hats off to that character in that way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a favorite of mine as well.
yeah, he's good. He's very good. Yeah, I
What
liked him a lot. So there's another one out there. His name is Hoosh, Houschch. So Hoosh Mahoosh. So it's Houschmahousch.
okay.
So Hoosh Mahoosh. and he's worth looking at. He's fantastic. He's won a bunch of prizes in Europe for one ring circus. Has his own language. Has his own skill sets.
Oh, neat.
It's quite something. So they're out there.
Yeah. It's definitely something I want to get more into now. After talking to you, I feel like I've learned today. So thank you for that.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Is there anyone else you would recommend for viewers to check out?
Let's see. If I can think of other names offhand. No, there's a lot. Once you've discovered like a couple, you'll start to find more.
Yeah.
And I strongly suggest just if you're looking for what the artwork is, what the understanding of it is, take a workshop. Much
Yeah.
like the PuppetCon workshops for puppetry. If you really want a flair or a taste of really what this tuning the radio, as I put it, to establishing that your character, or understanding where this imagination comes from, as we chatted about earlier, you take a workshop. Really take one that isn't so much about a costume or a makeup or shoes. It's not about that. Take a clown workshop from a theatrical standpoint and for character. And they're trickier to find, but when you do find them, they're bang on relative to the sentiments of what some of these other clowns perform, like the Hoosh Mahoosh fellow I mentioned.
Okay.
So yeah.
Is there some social media that you'd like to share that people can check you out?
Not presently. I'm not hyperactive in my social media. I confess I am not. I was a little bit prior to the pandemic with my dinosaur, and I had a bunch of projects going. But currently, my focus really, as I said, is to be present for the therapeutic clown work.
Okay.
So Zippy the Clown is around. I do operate as Eccentric Adam as well. And then my website is eccentricadam.com.
Perfect.
So eccentricadam.com. That's me.
Yeah.
And
We'll
you
put
can
it in
see
the
sort
show
of
notes as well.
oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool because it's just to give an idea as to the work that I've done and an image of some of these characters. So
Great.
yeah. Thank you for
Well,
that.
well, thanks again, Adam, of course, for joining us today. Who's again PuppetCon's official information officer. So keep an eye out, guys, for him at PuppetCon this August 11th to 13th. There are already quite a lot of sold out workshops. So like Noreen Young's Sculpting with Plasticine, sold out. Jeff Banks from JB Arts, making a foam puppet for adults, sold out. So there's still quite a few workshops that are, one last seat, as at the time of recording, they could be sold out as of tomorrow by the time we get this episode uploaded. So, go to the website, puppetsup.com, check it out. So there's still ones like Jamie Shannon's The Good, the Bad, and the Fuzzy, Graham Soule's A Tour of Puppetry, and Adam Francis Prue, how to market and promote your puppet show. So those are still available. The panels are still open. So Friday we have the Puppetry Around the World. Saturday's Below Board, which is adults only, of course. And finally, the epic one, which is Back to the Umbrella Tree. So it's a reunion of Iggy, Jacob, Gloria, and Holly. So that one I'm very excited for. I imagine, everyone wants to check that out. So again, guys, thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to get your tickets now and say hi to Zippy and enjoy Almonte, and welcome to our first ever PuppetCon. So great.
Yay.
Thanks
Lisa,
again, Adam.
Thank you very much. Pleasure. Take care.
All right. Bye. You've been watching the PuppetCon podcast with host Lisa Mountain. Stay tuned for more episodes with special guests coming soon. First ever PuppetCon will be held in Almonte, Ontario, August 11th to 13th, 2023. Tickets and programming can be found on the PuppetCon website, puppetsup.com/PuppetCon. All images and media are not intended for copyright. PuppetCon, this is the con you're looking for, with puppets.